So, what does it actually mean when someone walks into a voting booth and makes a choice to reject every single person on the ballot? Today, let's get into the really deep personal philosophy of one voter who always chooses none of the above.
It all starts with this incredibly powerful, no-compromise statement. You know, it's the kind of declaration that just hooks you right away and makes you ask that one big question. Why? Because, look, this isn't about being lazy or not caring. This is something else entirely. It's a deliberate choice, basically a personal manifesto. All right, so let's break that down. This choice, it's really not about not caring at all. In fact, it seems like it's the exact opposite, right? It's a thought-out, very conscious decision to just say no to the whole system they're being offered.
And hey, we're not just talking about some abstract political theory here. This whole perspective is grounded in a real place, from a real person, a voter in Chennai, India. And that detail, well, it gives their whole argument this authentic, personal weight that you just can't ignore. Which, brings us right back to that core question. Why even bother showing up to vote if you're just going to reject everyone? Well, the answer, it seems, isn't really about the candidates. It's about a much deeper belief. A belief about how the world really works. Okay, so to really get why someone would consistently vote NOTA, we have to first understand what this voter believes is the real force pulling the strings in our societies. And let me tell you, it's a belief that kind of reframes everything you might think you know about power. And just to be clear, we're not talking about some casual opinion. This is a core belief. It's like the fundamental lens that this person sees everything through. Politics, power, people, the whole shebang.
And there it is. That's the single idea driving this entire manifesto. For this voter, the ultimate power isn't a political party, it's not some grand ideology, it's not even a specific leader. It's just money. That one idea, it's basically the key that unlocks their entire way of thinking about politics. Okay, so if you start from that one place, that money is the true ruler of the world, what does that say about people? And what does it say about the political systems we live in every day?
Well, this worldview paints a pretty cynical picture of people, to be honest. On one hand, you've got the talented folks who are seen as being tempted to just rule like dictators. And then on the other hand, you have people who maybe don't have that talent, so they might use money or join up with powerful groups to get control. So from this point of view, it seems like both paths lead to the same corrupt place.
So, okay, if people are seen as flawed, then what about the systems they create? The disillusionment here is, well, it's deep. It doesn't matter if it's a democracy or a dictatorship, both are seen as fundamentally broken. In this view, one system lets powerful people get away with anything, and the other lets these unknown, shadowy figures get rich. It's like there's just no good option on the table.
But this whole critique, it's not just some abstract political game. The author's arguing that it has a very real, very human cost. So that leads to the next question, right? Who actually pays the price for all these flawed people and broken systems?
So, let's connect the dots here for a second. You've got a system supposedly run by money. You've got people inside it who are just trying to grab power any way they can. So what happens when you mix all that together? What's the end result?
Well, the first part of the outcome is this. Some small, faceless group gets all the benefits. Not the public, not the people voting. In this way of seeing things, it's always these unknown individuals who come out on top.
And this is really the emotional core of the whole thing. The other side of that coin, the flip side of those hidden benefits, is that lots and lots of people suffer. And the author says, including me. That one phrase just transforms this whole thing from a political argument into a really personal story of being hurt by the system.
Which brings us to the end of this manifesto. It all ties this chain of logic together and leaves us with one last big question to think about. A question about our political systems themselves.
So let's just do a quick recap of the logic here. It starts with the core belief. Money runs the world. That leads to the idea that people and political systems are just inherently flawed. And what's the result of that? Well, suffering for the many and big benefits for a select few. So if you believe all that, then the only logical thing to do is to reject the whole system with a NOTA vote.
And so we're left with the author's final and pretty provocative question. It's a challenge that goes way beyond just the voting booth, right? It's asking, in this constant chase for money and power, have we completely forgotten why we even created these systems in the first place? Whatever we think that reason was, have we lost it? Yeah, that definitely leaves you with a lot to chew on.